Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome back. I'm Frank Agan, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections, and your host of this episode of the Networking RX podcast. Also, thanks for listening, subscribing, and referring others. And certainly thanks for the comments and questions you've sent in via email. Once again, those comments and questions prove to be an indication that we need to explore in more details some of the things I'm talking about or mentioning in previous episodes. One of those in particular, it has to do with something that I said in the second episode, or I guess the first episode, in that is networking works. And you have to believe that networking works. And networking works, it may not necessarily work exactly how you want it to work, or when you want it to work, or where you want it to work. That's something that I've said or remarked upon in various episodes. I don't even have a detailed record of when and where I've said it. Networking works, you just don't know when, where, or how. And so the question or comment that came in was, it would be nice that if there were some examples that I could provide kind of demonstrating that. So good thought. Took some time, thought about it, and collected some different experiences, and we'll share those with you. Before we get started, as a reminder, AmSpirit Business Connections is looking to grow its team. We are looking for franchisees. And it might be a great opportunity for you or someone you know, so take note. We're looking to add franchisees to our system again. What does this entail? AmSpirit Business Connections franchisees help entrepreneurs, sales reps, and professionals in their areas connect, exchange qualified referrals, and generally become more successful. They do this through a structured weekly morning meeting. Because these meetings are in the morning, generally wrapping up around 9 a.m., a successful business type or professional can add this franchise opportunity onto what they're already doing. All of AmSpirit Business Connections franchisees do something else. For a couple hours in the morning, a few days a week, our franchisees work the AmSpirit Business Connections business model. The rest of the time, they're entrepreneurs, professionals such as attorneys, accountants, realtors, coaches, and consultants of various kinds. So if someone you know would like to learn more about our franchise opportunity, please contact me using the email in the show notes or the one provided at the end of this program. Okay, on with the program. Networking Works. I've titled this episode Networking Works Example 1.0. And the reason I call it 1.0 is that I'm sure I'll have other examples to share as time goes on, and certainly want to leave the door open to provide those, because no two examples are the same, and we can certainly learn from all these things, and certainly some of you will share your examples. I've had people who have contacted me, have an interest in being on an episode, and we're working on that right now, so stay tuned. But again, networking works. It might not always work how you want it to work, or when you want it to work, or where you want it to work, but networking works. So I've got 3 quick stories to kind of address each of these. Networking works, and it doesn't necessarily work how you want it to work. Great example, I was at a networking function, and I go to networking functions to network, certainly looking for things to grow the AmSpirit business, looking for members for the organization, looking for people who can refer us franchisees or who might be franchisees. Those are some of the reasons why I get out and network. And so when I go into events, that's certainly on my mind, and I'm certainly hopeful I'll run into people. I'm not necessarily, I am not hardcore in trying to find people, but that's in the back of my mind, and sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. But that's my general mindset when I go to networking events. And sometimes I'll walk away and I'll have people who are interested in filling one of those little buckets, and sometimes I won't. I was at a particular networking event several weeks ago now at this point, and I came away from the event and really can't say that I had any decent contacts to fulfill what I was looking for. Nevertheless, I happened to be talking to someone who was in employment services, in a company or a franchise that did employment services, and we just got to talking, and she was sharing with me some of the things that she was looking to do and some of her challenges. And as she was talking, I was thinking about a friend of mine, a young man who graduated high school a couple of years ago that were friends of my kids that I have helped mentor. His name is Ernest. I won't give his last name because it's hard to say and I just doesn't need to be said. But a little backstory on Ernest. Ernest, right now, he's in college. He's actually at a community college. When he was 9 years old, he moved to the United States. His family fled from Central Africa, literally under the cloak of darkness, and they escaped to, I believe, France, and then came to the United States. And when he came to the United States, he didn't speak a lick of English. He can speak French. He can speak whatever dialect he could speak French and whatever dialect they speak at home. But English is a second language. You wouldn't know it in talking to him. He's very articulate, very nice young man. And I have reached out to him and been trying to mentor him and trying to help him kind of take that next step. Let's get you into community college and then let's take on the next step. Well, one of the things I've been talking to Ernest about and trying to help Ernest is, we need to find you work. We need to find you something that you can gain experience. Just so you don't just have a college degree. Having experience will certainly help you getting that first job. Well, as I was talking to this employment person, it became clear to me that she had a need. She was trying to fill some positions, some part-time positions, some things that would be meaningful work for Ernest. Right now, Ernest is a busboy at Texas Roadhouse. Now, don't get me wrong, that's noble work, and it's certainly money, great money for a college kid. But somebody who is looking to build a professional life, I'm hoping to get him more professional experience, exposure to more professional people. So at any rate, through conversations with this young woman, I saw an opportunity and connected her with Ernest. Certainly was a win for her because they're looking for people, and it's a win for Ernest because it'll give him an opportunity to get a better position, probably with better hours and certainly better connections. Well, there's a perfect example of networking worked. It didn't really work how I wanted it to work, but it worked. And I can't look at that particular event I was at and say it was a complete failure. I got something out of it. And so, again, networking works. It doesn't always work how you want it to work. Another story. The other day, I got an email. And again, I'm looking to grow AmSpirit Business Connections. I'm looking for members to add to chapters. I'm looking for people who are looking to start chapters. And I'm certainly looking for franchisees around the country. I've mentioned that pretty much in every episode. At any rate, I got an email from somebody who was very interested in learning more about the AmSpirit franchise business opportunity, for the franchise opportunity. I'm based in Columbus, Ohio. This particular individual is not based in Columbus, Ohio. I won't really get into those details because it's ongoing at this point. He was from a large city, several hundred miles away, very interested in AmSpirit, knew about us, and we had a very in-depth conversation. Of course, I want to know how people find out about us. And he was referred to us by a former member of the organization, a gentleman by the name of Clyde Clifford, who I will give his name. He's an adult, probably enjoys it. He has got a company called Locology, which is a digital marketing agency based here in Columbus, Ohio. Well, I know Clive, and again, Clive was talking to this particular individual, and they said that they were looking for, a franchise opportunity, and kind of described a lot of the elements that we have, something that they can work in conjunction with a coaching business. And Clive referred this person on. But here's the backstory to this. I haven't talked to Clive directly in probably 10 years. We know of each other. I know people he's hired. One of his people is a franchisee in our organization. But I haven't talked to Clive in a number of years. And this is a perfect example of networking working, but it doesn't necessarily work when you think it's going to work. I've had great conversations with Clive in the past. He's a very neat individual. But it's not like we have ongoing communication. It's not like when we had communications, he sent this opportunity to me. Seeds were planted years ago, and it just took the right opportunity and the right situation for that to come through for us. So again, networking works. It's not always going to work when you think it's going to work. You just need to get out there and network and do all the things we're going to talk about in this podcast series, and then just sit and wait and be patient. Keep working. You keep doing things and keep planting seeds, and they'll take root at some time, maybe when you least expect it. To quickly recap, networking works. It doesn't always work how you want it to work. It doesn't always work when you want it to work. Let's talk about where. Now, when you go to networking events, you expect networking to happen. You expect things to come from it. And I'm of the mind that really networking events are everywhere. Any opportunity is a networking event. But we don't necessarily think that way. We put on our calendars, hey, we're going to go to a networking event and try and make something happen. And the rest of the time, we don't necessarily think of it that way. You go to the ball game and you sit in the stands and you don't think of it. You're at a tailgate, you don't really think of it as networking, but it really is. It's human relations and things can come from it. But you certainly don't expect it at church. And several years ago, I was kind of between things. I like to do a lot of professional development. I read a lot of books. I've attended seminars. I have been involved in mastermind groups. I've worked with coaches and consultants. And I was kind of between things, trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I was searching, and as I was out at events and talking to people and casually going about it, and that wasn't a hardcore search, but I was certainly looking. At any rate, I happened to run into somebody after church one day, a guy by the name of Jim Gurnitzky, who is a certified coach, consultant, trainer through John Maxwell. People are familiar with John Maxwell and his work. And I got to know Jim and got very comfortable with what Jim was about, and we had coffee a couple times. Very intrigued with what he was doing, and got involved with Jim on a number of levels with respect to my own personal and professional development. Again, didn't expect to find what I was looking for at church or after church, but I did. Networking worked. Didn't work where I thought it might work, but it worked. So as you're moving about your lives, your days, your weeks, your months, try and keep this in mind. Try and keep the whole notion of it works. Networking works. It may not work exactly how you think it's going to work, and really stop and think about where things you get come from. Not necessarily just business, but just things in general. And you'll start to see patterns there that, hey, things work. They didn't work exactly how I wanted them to work, but they worked. I got something from that. You'll see that things will come to you that have kind of come back from the past. Networking worked. It didn't work in the moment per se, like you wanted it to, but it ultimately worked. And then finally, networking will work, but it may not work exactly where you think it's going to work. Hopefully it does work where you think it's going to work, but there'll be little blessings in disguise in places that you never really thought would be fertile ground for networking. Networking works. It works. It doesn't always work when you want it to work or how you want it to work or where you want it to work, but it works. You just need to get out and network.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.